morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I had to go back and get my mother for ashes. I forgot to bring her yesterday. And I don't need her to keep me honest, but maybe she keeps me honest. I was also listening to the YouTubes from yesterday. I cried. I love that shit. I fucking can't believe it. How fucking good a speaker I am. It's unbelievable. It really is. I cried. I still got tears in my eyes. I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. If I listen to my shit over and over again, what the fuck should you be doing? But I want to make a couple comments now for the YouTubers. I got some, why are you so rough on us, and why are you so not nice to us, and why you, because that's how life is, kids. Get a fucking life. Get real. That's why I'm tough. Because it's hard. It's just bloody hard. It's easier for me to be tough because I've had a tough life. And these guys that are on the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Shame and the influencers have all had a tough life. You know, I made a speech to our employees in the Philippines. It unfortunately had no good. It didn't do any good. People say, why do you work so hard? They asked the question, kind of asked, because they don't want to ask anything that may be considered in third world countries. They don't want to ask, even in Scotland, which is a third world country, they don't want to ask something that might be the boss might consider offensive. And so Sally and I still work 60, 70 hours a week, which is more than anybody in this fucking room, except for this Robert, I know for a fact. But I said, well, when my dad retired from being a policeman for 28 years in the LAPD, he had 685 or 695 sick and vacation days he did not take. Now pay attention to this, dipshits. He did not take in his 28-year career. That's almost 2 years. So they gave him a check for the money. In those days, that's what they used to do. And he retired, I think, in 70 or 71. 1970, 71. Now just think about that, kids. He didn't take almost 2 years of sick leave and vacation leave in his 28-year career. And in those days, you used to get paid overtime. So when you worked over 40 hours, and he worked 100, 120 hours, a week easily. And when I tell the kids this, because as Mark told me in Australia, the kids want to make sure that because they came in 3 hours early because they had busted their balls on a project, they want to have the 3 hours off on the next week or the next month. Well, they have accumulated leave in the Philippines, so they want to make sure, and if you don't take the accumulated leave by the end of April, right, you lose it. So we're having massive, this is an exaggeration, but we're having a bunch of people taking days off right now. And they want to connect it to Holy Week so they get a big fucking vacation. Because Holy Week, everybody goes to sleep in the Philippines. Literally, asleep. Okay, it's work in South America. They just fucking go to sleep. Even if they're at work, they're asleep. So I thought that maybe that this talk that I had to the employees was going to give them, and we had our in-house lawyer there, and we had our new head of HR. And did it have any good? No. That afternoon, somebody emails me and they says, boss, it's your boss, is it all right if I take Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday's the holiday, my accumulated leave, and then the following day after the Monday, which is Holy Monday after Easter, so they got 11 days off or something. I wanted to say, fuck you! No, you can't take the fucking days, you stupid cunt. But I don't, because I'm a kinder, gentler person now. And I said, I just put okay. I don't put what I really feel in my gut like I'm telling you right now, and I'm telling YouTubers. I just put okay. When it's really not okay with me. So that's my work ethic. My kid brother, who's an assistant fire chief for the LA County Fire Department, is one of the largest fire departments in the world. Maybe it is the largest fire department in the world. I don't think he's ever had a sick day. And he's been in 31 years. In the Philippines, if you have diarrhea, it's a reason for not coming to work. If you got a headache, it's a reason. It's a legitimate reason for not coming to work. And so my work ethic, when I was getting up this morning, and I was doing my stretching, I stretch before I go to bed. I can stretch when I get up in the morning. So I stretch twice a day. I'm doing my stretching, and I'm thinking, well, I'm almost 69 years old, and this, you know, is this a good thing for me to be doing? You know, and well, yeah, it is. And then I go watch my own videos to fire up, cry a little. But I've been doing this for over 40 fucking years. And I still have the same enthusiasm. And I just read some weekly reports, and I told you it was all right with your request that you made of me. From January, and the kids already sound tired. They've only been doing it 9 weeks. And they're already tired. And they put down in the challenges and problems, oh, not getting enough sleep, or what's that? It's a good thing I don't have a bad heart. I'd get a fucking stroke. And you wonder why the people that are up there are up there. I don't remember any of those guys ever telling me, oh, I'm tired, Dan. You know, I can't do it. But there's a huge differentiation. Now, this morning when I was deciding what suit to wear, and what kind of suit is this, Sally, again?
Prince of Wales check.
Prince of Wales check. You can't see the check, okay? And I was trying to decide, and I normally always, my uniform was a frog tie. These are frogs, okay? Because you got to kiss a lot of fucking frogs. And you've got more contacts than Steven Spielberg, okay? And today I put my frog cufflinks on, because I always remember, you got to kiss a lot of frogs. And when you've been doing this for 40 plus years like I have, it's not fun to kiss frogs. Because how many frogs turn into a prince? For the women in the room, a guy on the old metaphor used to be a guy on a white horse with silver armor, you know, to come and to swoop you off your feet and take you to heaven or to bliss or whatever, right? You got to kiss a lot of frogs. Because most of them are going to just be frogs and not turn into prince or princesses or good deals, etc. Now, one of the things that Jerry, the guy that, you know, Canadian I beat up, he I don't know if he doesn't mind kissing frogs, but he's used to kissing frogs. So, I mean, it's not as big an ordeal for him. But you got to kiss a lot of frogs. Because most deals that you look at, and most deals that we're going to talk about how you get done, don't come to fruition. And as I've told this Robert, Bavarian Bob, for every 10 deals that you think might happen, 1 or 2 you actually pursue, and maybe 1 happens. So that means you need a portfolio. You need a lot of things. It's like, you know, I know this isn't popular, but back in the 60s and 70s, when I was single, you know, there'd be a bar full of 100 girls. You know, you go and, hey, honey, da-da-da-da. Maybe you have to talk to 20 or 30 of them before you got lucky. And then magic to my ears, your place or mine, Dan. I mean, I can still hear that ring. Your place or mine. Magic. This is pre-AIDS, pre-all that other stuff. A whole generation has grown up that have never had sex without a condom. My sons brought that to my attention a few years ago, which I didn't even think of. I'm not sure I would know what a condom looked like. Those are the good old days, Dad. And as my wife sits there, those are the good old days. I hadn't really, I thought they were the good old days myself, but I didn't realize how good they really were. Okay? I'm not going to ask you, you know, how many, if any of you have ever had sex without a condom. I'm not going to do that. Okay? Because I don't, actually I'm kind of curious, but I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to ask. If you want to share it with me in our private time. Now, we had our first 2 private times last night. We had Marcus, the Italian who's trying to lose his 3rd generation of his business that his grandfather started in 1932. And we had Ramona, who is first generation. Your mother didn't do what you do, does she? Nobody, just you, right? Okay. First generation business, and we talked about it. And with her, one of her two interpreters that are here, this Robert, because her first language is German, although she speaks better English than she pretends to. She says she speaks baby English, but she speaks pretty good English. But, you know, many of the people on the Hall of Fame are Germanic speaking. Not the least of which is Klaus Kleinfeld, who is the CEO and chairman of Alcoa, and was CEO, helped him become CEO of the 20th largest company in the world, Siemens. But I mean, we've got, you know, other people up there. We've got Heiko Voss, another Bavarian brute. And we have several people, Germanic-speaking people. We've got Schmalholz. And somehow I was asking you last night, I said, why is it the Germans? And because when the Germans take instructions well, most of the time, they take instructions well. And, you know, bad metaphors, you know, look at Hitler and that whole, you know, and Hitler's on my influencer because I used to study how he gave speeches when, you know, 35, 40 years ago when I was honing in my, my public speaking skills. And one of the slides that's coming up, that is a little known fact, is that Warren Buffett, arguably the greatest investor of all time, went to Dale Carnegie to learn how to be a better public speaker when he was selling his first couple investment funds back in the 60s. Little known fact. Just like a little known fact that was brought to my attention just before the seminar started by one of the husbands of one of the longtime employees here, that Andrew Carnegie believed in you know, the constructive imagination. And it's in his book that he used to practice constructive imagination, things he wanted, you know, when he wanted to grow the steel business, etc., etc. So virtually 95% of the stuff that we cover here in the week isn't new. I've just put it in a new format and put it into a new template, if you will. This Robert likes templates. Template, so it's easy just to plug in. But notwithstanding it's easy to plug in, and as I said at the beginning of yesterday, it's easy intellectually to understand what quantum leap advantage is all about. It's tough as hell to put into practice. It's extremely hard to put into practice. And and that's why we have the year-long mentor program. Now, getting back to the initial comment before I close out this YouTube, why am I so hard? Why do I use such graphic language? Why do I use so many bad words, and which is offensive to a lot of people? First of all, a lot of people are not my market. If I could take a truck driver that's used to working 18-hour shifts, a big burly truck driver, kind of looks like him, you know, a guy that's, you know, knows how to fight in a bar, knows how to have sex in the front seat of his truck, and shit like that, and I could give him QLA, he's my perfect model. Doesn't have to be too educated. Just knows he's got to get from fucking A to B. A big tough guy that's used to making sacrifices. It's hard for him to put food on the table for his family. That is the person. When I talk this way to truck drivers, or bricklayers, or brickies as they call them in this country, or joiners, or carpenters, or plumbers, they don't think I'm talking anything. Nobody goes, oh, gee, look, he said fuck. But when I talk to you, purportedly, ostensibly, sophisticated, educated people, you get a hair up your ass. But if we were fighting a war, I would rather have the bricklayer in my fucking foxhole than you guys. For sure. Because they know how to make sacrifices. They make sacrifices all their lives. You know, I said yesterday when Mark said that he slept in his office and he made his apartment his office, or however it worked, you know, I didn't think anything bad about that, and in fact I thought that was good, and that was a step in the right direction, a leap in the right direction. But some of the people on YouTube, and they don't even know how old you are when I said that, they knew how old you were and you did that, they'd think that something was wrong. Doesn't he have a home? Don't his parents love him? I can go through all this litany of bullshit. Stuff you don't give a shit about, I know. But I could go through this whole litany of bullshit, how people think. Because we have gone way past, like in the Demolition Man, way past the political correct line. And pretty soon, I won't live long enough, and we won't be swapping bodily fluids anymore. Now, these guys did know from political correctness, my influences up there. Now, not just because Vlad the Impaler, the gypsy, you know, or Genghis Khan, or a few other guys up there that have influenced me. But Winston Churchill didn't know political correctness either. Of course, what did they do to poor old Churchill when he helped win the war, Second World War? They threw him out on his fat ass. I know what that feels like, being thrown out on my fat ass. Wasn't so fat in those days, but I know what it's like. And one of the things that I tell you guys, you do all the stuff I tell you, and you go public, the chances are at least 75% are going to throw you out on your ass. But the good news is they're going to throw you out on your ass with their pockets and truckloads full of cash. Because it's extremely difficult, as Klaus Kleinfeld would tell you, to be the CEO of a public company in today's world. Extremely. Shareholders this, shareholders that. Now, I got out of being a CEO of a public company right at the cusp, right at the right time, the early 90s, when they booted me out, when they exited me. It would be very difficult for the way I am today to be the CEO of a public company. Although Fred Smith, God love him, who's the founder, my contemporary in age, of Federal Express, he's made the transition. He's made the transition. And there's a few guys that have made the transition. But one of the most admired CEOs in America was on Bloomberg, and they're still talking about him. He lost his temper at a press conference earlier this year, and he told all the journalists basically they had shit for brains. He told them they had shit for brains. And you pissed me off, and he's going like this to the journalists. Well, that was in January. This is now April, and they're still bringing that YouTube thing up. 2 years from now, they're still going to be bringing that YouTube up. Now, he wishes the hell he hadn't told the journalists, even though I agree with him, the journalists have shit for brains. But he's going to pay for that forever. So I got out of the public life just in time before the internet caught up with me. Just in time before YouTube and Twitter and all these other things caught up with me. And so, for you guys, when I tell you, just worry about the cash that you're going to put in your pocket. Don't worry about your baby and the fame attributed to doing something really great. Don't have that concern. Because if you have that concern, it's going to break your heart when they throw you out, or when the investment banker tells you, Marcus, you can't be here. We know your grandfather founded the company, but you can't be here. It's going to break your little heart. So you have to I tell you, conventional wisdom is almost always wrong. This is one time when conventional wisdom is right. Conventional wisdom is that you have to be a bon vivant, debonair, raconteur, multilingual, suave, person to head up a public company now, pretty much. Not in all cases. If you started a long time ago, you didn't, but now. We have homework. What's the first homework from last night? And we're going to go through the success test, but what's the first homework that I gave you for last night?
What was the defining moment of your life?
Okay, we'll start with that. Matt, in all 6 years that you've had of defining moments, what's your defining moment of your life?
Well, the most defining moment of my life was definitely coming to the first seminar here. Because before that, I kind of understood intellectually that I can be anything I want, but when I came here, I understood that emotionally. So that was different.
And again, you see, you're a high school senior.
Correct.
You paid to get here the first time. You paid here to get here the second time. You're an internet scum. You're an internet. You make money on the internet, right?
That is
I call all internet people internet scum. I don't mean it that way, but most people on the internet are scum because they're judicious with the truth, as Winston Churchill used to say. Is everybody smart enough to understand what judicious with the truth means? That means they exaggerate and lie about their products. And the euphemism now is, it's all right to exaggerate and lie about marketing products on the internet because they call it marketing. I've had Romanian gypsies sit right across that back road and tell me that. Okay, so now you know emotionally you can be whatever you want to be.
Yes.
Okay, defining moment. Kana, defining moment for you.
Was the first time I was on TV as an actress.
As an actress. How long ago was that? Were you a baby actress, 3 months old or something?
Yeah, I was a baby. That was in 2003.
Okay. How was it? How did it feel?
I felt very proud of myself because it was something I did on my own, and
You should.
yeah.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Although I've said acting is the most overpaid profession in the world. Sports figures a second, but for people to get 10, 15, 20, 25 million dollars for a picture just for hitting their mark and saying a few lines, I mean, it's unbelievable. I wish if I get to come back as something, I want to come back as a pharaoh beating slaves building my pyramid. Second, an actor. You know, first, a pharaoh beating my slaves to build my pyramid. That's what I want to come back as. Okay, what's your defining moment, Marcus?
I read that the most defining moment for me was getting born as the oldest son of the oldest son of the oldest son. So
Holy shit.
I have been born in a family with much history, and I was the oldest son, and so it was programmed that I will take over the business and family business, and this was probably the most defining or most blocking event in my life.
And he comes from an old, formerly Austria, now Italy, since the First World War, family, and northern part of Italy, and his in the family business, the third generation, and he's here to prove the third generation doesn't lose all the money. Basically, that's what he's here for. And but we've had a good talk, and I gave him some ideas. He had some ideas of his own, but I gave him some ideas that should work. Mark, what's the most defining moment of your life? Your old life too. He's 22.
I think it was when we decided to basically move into an office next to Google and IBM, even though we could not afford it. And then the first month in, we definitely were able to afford it.
Okay. Now, he's been listening to the QLA tape since you're about 16, 17?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he said something very important there, operative word. He moved into an office he could not afford. Listen up, kids. Could not. I tell you to find the best lawyers and accountants you can afford. I tell you to buy the best clothes that you can. I don't look like any of the other guys. Forget that I don't sound like them. Forget all that. Forget all my achievements. 50 billion, forget all that. But I don't look like them. And there's a reason I don't look like them. But I've been wearing this uniform, and I've been wearing Savile Row suits since before I could afford them. And the fact that I can still wear a suit that I had made 25 years ago, which I'm pretty proud of, the fact that I'm not, all decrepit with no muscle mass anymore, or so fat I can't get in them, is pretty impressive. But the fact is, before he could afford it, he also got thrown out of those offices because he played QLA tapes so loud they got unhappy.
He tried to move us into a different building without windows.
Yeah. Okay. Giancarlo?
Well, I had a couple.
Okay.
To me, failing at becoming a top tennis player, it really hurt me. So I think it's created a lot of rage in my heart to wake up every day and do what I want to do the impossible. Another thing was we could have become really rich at an early age with the internet, just having the internet and making a lot of money. And we basically had the opportunity to be really, really successful at an early age, and we let that go.
Okay, now Giancarlo had trained since he was 3, 4 years old. He was a top-ranked tennis player in South America. He played against Nadal and a bunch of guys as juniors, right?
Well, I played some. I didn't play Nadal.
Oh.
I played some big players. I played Wimbledon juniors. I played U.S. Open. I played French Open. I played Australian Open.
Okay, so, and then when his career ended, it was a life-changing experience. Very much like Marcus Bauer in skiing, you know, but the kids that have had that discipline get QLA better because they're used to discipline. Just like we've had several black belts, you know, guys and gals in here that understand the discipline. You know, they train, you know, 6, 8, 9 hours a day in martial arts, and they can do that. Okay, yeah.
I have also some moments.
He looks like a banker that's about to take my money. He's all dressed up. Okay, go ahead.
My most defining moment was when I got the entrepreneur bag. I remember I was like around 13 years when my mother took me and went with me on her businesses. I learned what she was doing. She was buying and selling. And I learned how she was dealing with customers. And at times when she was busy, she would send me and deal with customers, collect money and so on. That bag
Cash.
Cash. That bag up today, that's the one that has brought me here, which is also a most defining moment because this is where you meet your destiny. So I remember that time and I still remember now. Now that I'm sitting here, it's just like you brought your mother here. My mind goes to her. It's thanks to her that I'm here. So I like really that moment, and this is the most defining also.
Robert, do you want to give your defining moment?
Yeah, the funny thing is, you asked this several times when we were here, and the view on this changes, so my view changed on that. And
He's a German.
No, that's the truth.
Well, yeah, you're German, it's the truth as well.
No, my view changed, that's the truth also. So one point is seeing dead bodies, especially. I've been to a medical university, not as a student, but they took me inside to see all the dead bodies. It was very defining. Then to see the dead bodies of my mother and my father recently. And then experiencing what I can do in business already before I came here the first time. So, as you said, understanding intellectually, and for my part, kind of also emotionally, because I did it myself, what I can do. And then coming here and being reaffirmed and affirmed and affirmed, and expanding this emotion that you really know and feel you can do everything you want.
Now, as some of the seminar attendees know, one of the defining moments for me is I saw my first dead body when I was 6 years old. 1951, my father was the head of the CID, Criminal Investigation Division of the United States Army Europe during the Korean War in Verdun, France, and my mother and I went to live with them during the war, Korean War, and I went out with him on an afternoon, he told me to stay in the car. He was at a crime scene. And by the way, CISA, whatever that program is, you know, that's all bullshit. That's not how you investigate crime scenes, kids. Just for you to believe that that's how the fucking deal works. Trust me, that's not how it works. But anyway, getting back to mine. So I saw my first dead body frozen to a log, and it was a defining moment. I can still close my eyes and see the guy frozen to that log. Another defining moment is when my dad came to pick us up at Le Havre when we sailed across the Atlantic to meet him in France. And I went to put my arms around him and give him a hug. I was a little guy like this. And my arms came away all bloody. And because I didn't realize it, my dad had just had surgery a few hours before where they took out a tumor of his back. But he drove 6 hours to Le Havre with anesthetic and to pick us up because he hadn't seen us in a long time. So my dad was a tough guy, really tough. So, and defining moments, another defining moment is when I got commissioned and was made an officer and a gentleman by the United States Congress. So we all have defining moments. But the important thing for you in the seminar, and just as Robert Bavarian Bob said, his defining moments can continue to change because he's continuing to grow. Most people on this YouTube aren't growing anymore. And if my bad language is affront to you, please stop watching. Unface me, unlink me, untweet me, whatever those right words. Don't follow me anymore. Okay? But if you want to continue to grow and have expansion of your defining moments, then continue. Okay, thanks a lot.